Welcome to the GMS Magazine podcast, a podcast all about role-playing games, board games, and the people who make them. Sometimes the people who play them. I am Paco Garcia, one of your hosts.
And this is Chris from Deus Ex Machina and Tavern Snaps. How are you?
I am, well, I have a bit of a headache because we are at work now on this end-of-year race to finish projects. And I have three ginormous projects that I need to finish very quickly, and it's mental, absolutely mental. I'm juggling right now a project for one of our regional governments, then another one for the European Agency of Cybersecurity, and then another one for one of the largest insurance companies in the country. And all the three project managers want me to finish everything before the end of the week. And on Thursday, I have a area meeting that will last all day. So I have fewer hours than I need to finish everything. So my head is exploding with having to edit several hours of video and having to implement a Portuguese translation into something else and finishing a escape room. And it's like, oh my God, I am so going to need my holidays. It's ridiculous. So that's me. How are you?
I'm fine.
Sorry.
It's fine. Like I said, this next 3 weeks, like I said, I released a book a week ago, and we'll talk about it as part of a conversation. And it's been interesting, and I have been holding back starting my next project, but I feel like I'm going to have to just because I got nothing to write about, and I got nothing else on the docket. And so there's part of me, people will say, well, take some time off. I go, it's hard for me to justify that. And, I'm still doing the cracker sales. I just had a really good weekend, and I got 2 more events before the end of the year. But there's a part of me that's just like, I want to do some work. I want to do some writing. So it's one of those situations that I'll always be writing. I may not produce, $1 million Kickstarters, but I will always be writing.
Who never knows? Anyway, today we have at least 2 topics of conversation and a review. I'm going to be reviewing Be Like a Crow. This is by Tim Roberts. It's from Critical Kit. And they won the 2023 UK Games Expo Award, the best role-playing game. So I will be talking about that in a few minutes. But before you have a couple of topics of conversation, and at least, well, I think I only know about one of them. So where would you like to start? Let's hit me with it.
Here's something. I just saw this on the news. Facebook has banned ads for a Kickstarter from a small historical board game publisher, Fort Circle Games, for the second time this year. First time claiming its game about the history of the U.S. Supreme Court was a sensitive social issue.
What?
And then they previously faced a shortfall of $60,000 for its Kickstarter, Votes for Women, its critically acclaimed card-driven war game about the fight for women's suffrage in the U.S. when Facebook repeatedly pulled ads for its campaign in January.
Wow.
I find that fascinating. I wanted to bring up about the fact that I love how robotic and AI-driven Facebook is. For those people who don't know, if you post something that'll trigger something. I recommended a movie. The movie title triggered Facebook's community standards, and I was banned for a month. I then got so I got pushed down the feed. I couldn't post any polls, and not only that, but I also could not run any ads. Now, thankfully, I wasn't running any ads at this point in time. If I was running a Kickstarter, it would have been a nightmare. However, I then get contacted by Meta ads asking me, hey, do you want to do any advertising? Now, the humorous thing is that the representative from Meta is a human being. We were talking on the phone, and she's like, oh, you're interested? I go, I would be interested, except you banned my account because I recommended a movie. The movie was called Shoot 'Em Up, by the way. It's a really good movie with Clive Owen. It's just a complete nonsense action movie that takes its nonsense to the nth degree, and it's a really good movie. But I recommended it, and that recommendation threw down the ban hammer. And so I'm like, if you can get my account unlocked, I will consider giving you money for advertising. She couldn't because she could not reach a human being. We were getting constant responses, and like literally, they were being CCing her and me. And I noticed the pattern of the responses. I'm like, these are all copy pasted. You're not talking to a person. And I realized how badly run is this company when Meta ads, the division that generates them the most money, because that's how Facebook survives, is
Mhm.
ads, can't even talk to Meta technical support because Meta technical support is entirely AI driven. And she can't get over that hurdle to talk to a human being to get my account unlocked. Like, how badly run is a company where their primary revenue stream has an AI wall that the employees themselves can't get around?
Well, I mean, to be honest, in fairness, I mean, I think it's absolute bonkers that happens. But as to how badly run is it, I don't know. They seem to be doing pretty well.
Oh, I mean, yeah, to generate revenue. I just think it's hilarious how that system is. Um, on a on a different topic, but still dealing with advertising and so forth. I released a new book, October's Arcane Almanac, that was published by my company Deus Ex Machina. It's named after a character. You see the character for people watching. This is October, the character. The October character was created by Mark Meer, voice actor for Mark Meer. If you don't know who Mark Meer is, he is a I think a full-time professional games master at this point. He runs a lot of games. They fly him out to conventions. They fly him out to D&D in a castle. He's a GM for D&D in a castle. So he gets paid to do that. But his secondary profession, which was his primary profession, was as a voice actor. He was most well known as the voice of Commander Shepard.
Hmm.
Him and I have met at a couple of conventions. We have become friends. It's weird saying that. Whenever you see a celebrity is your friend, you feel you don't deserve it. Like he's a good friend. And he's done some work for me, and it's a barter system in a way. I said, well, I'll get Nick to draw your character, and then he'll do narration for some of my Kickstarters. So that is an image of his character October that he creates for this Victorian Gothic fantasy. And so I thought it'd be really interesting to create a game where this character is compiling different spellcasting systems from different parallel realities. And so
That sounds pretty cool.
Mark gave me permission. The book came out. It stalled initially, but then I threw a coupon to people who had previously purchased products from me, and that coupon was apparently the fire that lit everybody, and then it just jumped. It got to number 10 overall in Drive-Thru RPG. If you go to the D&D subgroup, like if you actually pick the D&D system, it was number 1 for a week. It got supplanted. It's now second place. But I was looking at it, and I was always remembering when Ultramodern 5 came out, how much money that made. I jumped to second. I was first place for a day, got to second place, but I was in the top 10 for about 3 weeks. But I remembered how many sales I needed to generate to get to that point. And the fact that I got first place in D&D with a very lackluster start started to tell me, it's just like, wait a second. And I obviously it's telling me that 5e sales on Drive-Thru RPG must be a bit soft if I jump to the top with a lackluster debut. Now, thankfully, it's doing a lot better. It's actually been really doing well the last 3 days. I've sold more in the last 2 days than I did the first 2 days. Gives you an example. But I started to be concerned. What I think is what people are saying, and I was saying the fact that before we started recording that there's about tens of thousands of publishers on Drive-Thru RPG. We'll never know when most of them stop publishing. Most of the time, they publish one thing or two things, and then you don't think about them. The same thing about YouTube. Like I have about 200 people I follow on YouTube. There's probably 60 or 70 that don't produce content, but I don't think about it because they've never done a video that's saying, I'm done. I've simply looked at their content and oh, this person hasn't done a video in 2 years. There's never a video about why they've left. They just leave. And that's the thing. When it comes to publishers, we're never going to see this downturn because no one wants to talk about it because people go, well, this game from this company did phenomenally well, and this game from this company did phenomenally well. We could bring publishers over and they could say, oh, we're doing fantastic. I'll go, yeah, but what if we bring up 10 random publishers from DM's Guild and ask them, are things doing well? And I think the answer would be no.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I think there are, how to say this in a way that's not going to make me sound like a complete asshole. I don't think there are too many role playing games or too many supplements out there, because I don't think there can be enough. But I also think that there isn't enough buying power to keep afloat everybody who is trying to make a living out of role playing games.
I think the economy is an absolute factor.
So what happens in there? I think it's a combination of one, there aren't enough people buying enough products. That's the end of it. Even when we didn't have drive through, if you publish adventures, you would be making a lot less money than if you make core books. Core books make way more money and sell way more units, because an adventure, only one out of six people need to buy it. Core books, if you have a group of six people, two or three at least will get it. So I think there's that to think about. Secondly, I think there are an awful lot of people who publish just because they want to see their name on a product, because of their
Yeah.
own, satisfaction. And I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think I am one who keeps saying that everybody should publish their own book. Everyone, no matter who, no matter how good you are, no matter whether you want to make money or not. But please, 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 I beg you, go through the process of publishing your adventure, publishing your role playing game. Because I think it is such an enlightening process that will help you understand how difficult it is to actually make a living, make money out of it, that everyone should be able to do it so they can criticize companies with a little bit of a better formed opinion.
Let me ask you another question then.
Yeah.
Like I 100% agree. I think that if you have a creative mind, I feel, and this is going to come off maybe, although you are never, you never feel like you have to do something, but I always feel that if you have a creative mind, I feel that you're obligated to express it, even if it's absorbed by yourself. I think the greatest shame is an artist who never paints.
Agreed.
And now that being said, I mean, there's always been talk about whether or not an artist is obligated to share that artwork. And I imagine you'd be saying that the answer is no.
No.
While I always feel an artist is never obligated to do anything, I always feel that it is such a loss to the world that that they're probably the greatest masterpieces are in the minds of people who never feel that people don't want to read them. I feel that the next To Kill a Mockingbird is sitting in someone's mind right now, and they don't think that they're a good enough writer. Well, no one will know that unless you try. No one will know that unless someone reads it. I grew up with a lot of people who were writers that wrote a lot and never shared that work with the public, and I felt that it's like, well, you'll never know. But some people, they can't handle that criticism. It's the same reason why overweight people hate going to the gym. I'm going to the gym. And one of the biggest reasons why people like me don't go into shape is that we're always afraid of that social rejection. And I say, you know what? And there's so many hurdles. It's that first hurdle, let's express myself. The second hurdle, let someone else try to absorb it and get that potential feedback, whether it be positive or negative. And then the final feedback is getting someone noticed. There are millions upon millions of books on Amazon's Kindle marketplace. It doesn't hurt. It's completely free to put yourself out there. But I always feel upset when someone says, "I have a book, but I don't think I can write it." I go, "Well, if you don't try, you don't have to have anyone read it, but put it out on paper at least. Get it out."
I think there are many reasons why people don't do it. I think everybody struggles with imposter syndrome, which is an absolutely horrible thing that I think we should just kick in the guts and send down to the hell it came out from.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome is like guilt. It serves no real purpose. It has no real productive place in our lives. and I think it should go away. But I
Mm.
can understand where it comes from, because we are born in a society where, unless you excel at whatever it is you try, even if it is the first time, especially when you're growing up, you're ridiculed, you're bullied, you are put down massively, especially because our educational systems, they value grades above anything else. So it doesn't matter how hard you try. If you don't get the grades, you are never going to feel like you are as good as anything, and you will feel tiny. And that is absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand how we can do that. So I think imposter syndrome is something that um, people suffer from very, very often. And that's why they don't even try, even for themselves, because they fear that we are our worst critics. And they probably fear that if they write it down and they look at it and they think it's crap, then they will never ever want to write it again.
Yeah.
And that we should teach children from very, very early age that no creative endeavor is ever worthless, no matter what. No creative endeavor is worthless. And it doesn't matter if no one ever reads your work, it's still worth writing or painting or acting or dancing or sculpting or whatever it is that you want to do. No creative endeavor is worthless.
Absolutely. And to nail the point home about the education, I saw something today, and it was a teacher in front of a classroom, and the classroom had a monkey, a penguin, an elephant, a fish, a seal, and a dog. And the person says, everybody has to take the same test. Please climb that tree.
What?
It's a representation of our school system in one image. So there's a monkey, a penguin, an elephant, a seal, and a dog in a classroom. They're in the class.
Mhm.
And the teacher's saying, everybody has to take the same test. Please climb that tree.
Mm.
And it's a perfect example of
Yep.
we have this normalized, formalized teaching system that everyone gets taught the same way, even though it does not work with everybody. And like I said, there's probably an astounding number of masterpieces within the minds of people who don't think they're good writers, and they are.
And you know what's really disappointing, that from the world of pedagogy where I work, we've known for a very, very long time that people don't learn the same way. As an instructional designer, I need to look into how the demographic of the people that I'm going to be constructing my e-learning courses for, how they're going to work, and how they need to learn things, which is why sometimes we create escape rooms, because people need to learn from a scenario-based point of view. Sometimes we need to take a look at technical stuff and see how we can divide it in small chunks, because people learn in different ways. We've known that for decades. I don't understand why that is not being applied at schools. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I realize as well that we are really deviating from the topic of conversation. And
But
I will,
we were talking about game design, and it's
well,
about
and we're talking about the loss of sales. We were
yeah.
talking about how people are not buying. Also, there's one thing I was before I said, um, you know, um, too many products, not enough economy. An awful lot of people are not really that interested in publishing continuously, and they just want to see their name on the product. And third, and I keep saying this, and some people just say, "Oh, Paco, you're horrible." I'm not horrible. Gamers are absolutely shit at marketing. We are rubbish at
Yeah.
marketing, especially
Yeah.
our own products. Everybody can look at a Kickstarter campaign and say, you should have done this and this and this and this and this a lot better. Now it's our turn to do our Kickstarter campaign, and we fuck it up so badly. Every time, every single time, there will be someone who can tell us how we could have improved our campaign massively, because we are rubbish at self marketing. And I'm feeling better now. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always been an issue. And for me, like I said, that there's we were talking about creativity and expression. That's where it came from, because we said there's tens of thousands of publishers on Drive Through RPG, a good chunk of them in DM's Guild, creating adventures that'll sell maybe 10 or 15. People don't forget the fact that even though you can't specifically find out how many products a person sold to see if it's successful or not, you can, because they have these little badges: copper seller, silver seller. And although Drive Through RPG has stated that they don't publicize what allows you to be eligible, they do. I mean, you can find out the numbers. I, of course, have copper, silver, electrum, gold, platinum, and I have 2 mithril badge sellers, which puts me in the top 0.5% of publishers on Drive Through RPG. And yet, knowing the fact, like, my last 2 products have both gotten copper, my adventures haven't. And if it wasn't for my adventures being bargain basement inexpensive, I would be losing money off of them. But like I said, I think overall, I think that there is a depreciation in this marketplace. I think we're seeing a scattershot. People are investing their money in OSR and bespoke systems. They're migrating towards IP. I think these big Kickstarter campaigns that are raising the $1 million or so forth are the ones I wouldn't say monopolizing per se, but they're gravitating a lot of these people's funds. And there used to be a time where people would say, "Oh, I'll back this, I'll back this, I'll back this," and people are just now saying, "I can back one product, it's not going to be yours because I'm waiting for this product." So I think it's an aspect of a saturation of the market, a decentralized rule system, and unfortunately, a preference on people's opinions of going to sure things. But I'm worried that the market overall, and we will see that a lot of people walking away from the creation community on Drive Through RPG simply because they put out a couple of games and no one seemed to be interested. Because there's a lot of them, there's not a lot of money, and as you stated, they don't know how to advertise themselves particularly well.
No, and I think this is something I covered in a video I made a few years ago. I did a series of videos about publishing your role-playing game. And I think I did about 25 or 30 of those quick videos. And one of the first videos I released is, if you want to publish your game, you really need to think very hard as to why you want to do it. What do you want to get out of it? And if the only thing that springs to mind is money, don't do it. Seriously, don't do it, because you're not going to make any money out of your first or second or third product unless you strike lucky, which is like finding a needle in an absolutely ginormous haystack. So don't try to do it for that. Just do it for yourself, and don't expect anything out of it. If you don't have any expectations, then you will have no disappointments whatsoever. Just create a community around you, even if it is a small 10, 15 people community. It doesn't matter. Just do it for yourself. I mean,
I was publishing for myself from 2007 until 2016. And like I said, I was losing money constantly, but I wanted to do it. And then just by pure luck, it was luck, Ultra Modern 5 came out at the perfect time, and it went mithril within 3 months. And I realized, I could do this for a while as a living. And then I got out of my job, thankfully, before COVID hit, and I ran Kickstarters, and here we are. Now, am I reaching the end of that lifespan? Potentially. We'll have to see. 2025 is going to decide whether or not my publishing company stays in business in the capacity that it has been before.
Mm-hmm.
But as I realized that we were talking about the fact that I'm really bored right now because I just finished my book, I just want to start writing. Because at the end of the day, I just want to start writing because it's something we enjoy doing.
Exactly. That's your impulse, and that's it. But I don't think. I think if you try, you're not Monte Cook. You don't have the name, you don't have the gravitas. So if you try to do it because you think that you can get exactly the same amount of money that you got out of Ultramodern, then you're very likely to be disappointed. If you do it just because you want to do it, because you enjoy it, and then you're going to put it out there with the hope that some people will buy it and they'll just enjoy themselves, then you'll probably have a blast doing it. And I understand that controlling this is very difficult. It's taking me a very, very long time to get to control that. And if people are saying, "Oh, Paco, you just say that," fuck no. Come on, I have a podcast that few people listen to, and I've been doing this podcast since 2010. I have a YouTube channel that I have less than 4,000 subscribers, and I've been doing it since 2012. And I don't give a particular type of fuck about how many people follow or subscribe to me, because I'm doing this because I love it. If I have 3,000 people, 2,000 people who enjoy my content, great. If I have 50, great. Because I enjoy it, and that's why I want to do it. And believe me, the only times when I have considered stopping have been the times when I thought I want to reach more people, and I see people doing worse content than me who are reaching a lot more people than me, and I hate that.
Well,
If
that's because I follow you on TikTok, and every time I see one of your videos of speaking Spanish, I go, I like the video, and then I move on because I don't speak Spanish.
well, but that's the thing is that that channel, that's just for me shit talking about Spanish issues. I have my role playing game channel,
Oh,
which is in
okay.
English, and my board game channel, which is also in English. I don't do enough of the content in that one, but the role playing game, I have some interesting things in there. But you know, the thing is, I only have 800 and something people.
More than
I
me.
don't care. I really don't care if I have 800 or 80,000. I don't care. I do the content because I like it, because I want to do it and I enjoy it. Publishing role playing games, at least to start with, should be that. Just do it because you enjoy it.
The guy from Green Ronin told me many years ago. This has changed somewhat. This is like 20 years ago when he told me that more people have walked on the moon than make money off of role playing games. But anyway, that's it for that one. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No. I think we should jump onto this next topic in part 2.